In this lecture, we're gonna discuss about variables, and I will show you some examples of variables and how variables works. So let's get started. We can think of variable as a named storage box. When choose a name, perhaps variable A, these names are the programmer's access into memory of the user's Android device. Variables are values in memory that are ready to be used when necessary by referring to them with their name. Computer memory has highly complex system of addresses that fortunately we don't need to directly interact with. Kotlin variables allows us to devise our own convenient names for all the data that we need or have to work with. The operating system will, in turn, interact with the physical hardware memory. So we can think of our Android device's memory as a huge warehouse waiting for us to add our variables. When we assign names to our variables, they are stored in the warehouse, ready for when we need them. When we use our variables names, the device knows exactly what we are referring to. We can then tell it to do things such as assign a value to variable A, add variable A to variable B, test the value of the variable B, and take an action based on the result. In a typical applications, we might have a variable named unread messages, perhaps to hold the number of the unread messages that the user has. We can add to it when a new message arrives. Take away from it when the user reads a message and shows it to the user somewhere in the application's layout so that they know how many unread messages they have. Situation that might arise can include the user gets 3 new messages, so add 3 to the value of unread messages. The user logs into the applications, so use the tools to display a message along with the value stored in unread messages. The user sees the couple of messages are from someone that don't like and deletes 2 messages. We called then subtract 2 form of unread messages. Variables names are arbitrary, and if you don't use any of the characters or keywords that Kotlin restricts, you can call your variables whatever you like. In practice, however, it's best to adopt a naming convention so that your variable names will be consistent. In this course, we will use a simple convention of variable names starting with a lowercase letter. When there is a more than one word in the variable's name, the second word will begin with an uppercase letter. This is called a camel casting. So here's some of examples of camel custom variables names, like Uber driver. Here, as you can see here, our first word starts with lowercase letter, then words after the first word, second, third, or any number of word, the first word of number words will begin with the uppercase letter. So the second examples of is friend or boy playing in garden. As you can see here, the first letter of our boy is started with a lowercase letter, and the second, third, and fourth words started with uppercase letter, and this named camel casting. Before we take a look at some real Kotlin code that uses some variables, we need to first look at the types of variables that we can create and use. Types of variables is not hard to imagine that every simple application will have quite a few variables. In the previous section, we introduced the unread messages variable as a hypothetical example. But if the application list of contacts needs to remember each of their names, then we might need variables for each contact. And what about when an application needs to know whether a contact is also a friend or just a regular contact? We might need to code that test for a friend status and then adds messages from that contact into an appropriate folder, so that the user knows whether they were messages from a friend or not. Another common requirement in computer program, including Android applications, is the right or wrong test. Computer programs represent right or wrong calculations using true or false or one or true.